We're starting.
Okay.
I'm recording. Hey, Erin.
Hey.
If watchers don't know, we wing these things,
We do.
and
We're
that's how
wingers.
we have our best conversations.
That's true.
So, Erin, why don't you introduce yourself and your history with like nutrition and why you have the qualifications to speak on this topic? And I'll do the same. And then I think we'll just bounce back and forth with some tips and ideas.
All right. Sounds great. So my name is Erin Kroll, and I actually am in Oklahoma. Jamie and I met through network marketing company Plexus Worldwide that we both partner with. And I actually am soon to be a graduate of my functional nutrition program through the NTA. Yes, in literally like 8 days. So that's what
So
qualifies
close.
me. That's what qualifies me. And also because I am a lifelong learner, that's what also qualifies me, I feel like, because I have struggled through my own sleep issues. And honestly, some of those things are what led me to going through the nutritional therapy practitioner program. And so when the idea came up to do a sleep workshop, I was like, oh man, I've got lots of things to say about that. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. And thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah.
I am Jamie Withrow, known as Dietitian Jamie. And that explains who I am. But deeper than that, because if you know anything about becoming a dietitian, it's not very holistically minded. It's very much like medical and food industry. And I just really have a heart for people that have areas to improve and want changes in their life, and maybe they don't feel like they're bad enough to go to a sleep doctor or go get a sleep study or things like that. And there's so much misinformation on the internet and so much confusing knowledge out there, that if even one tip or one idea helps or sparks inspiration or triggers a change to a nightly routine, like then it's absolutely worth my time to sit here for the next 30 minutes or so, and bounce ideas back and forth and share stories. So
Yes.
I'm excited to be here. Erin, what's your experience with sleep? You mentioned you've had some sleep troubles. Tell me more.
So my sleep troubles honestly started about a year and a half ago. Well, that I started admitting the sleep troubles per se, I guess. I don't have anybody telling me that I'm snoring. I am single, live alone. My German Shepherd's the only one here, and she is out like a light. So she didn't notice those types of things. But what I noticed was the shift and change when I started waking up in the middle of the night, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I want to sleep the whole night through. I don't want any of this like 3 a.m. business, right? And so started digging in, figuring out like, oh, okay, maybe I start mouth taping. Started doing that. Big believer in mouth taping. Definitely love that. And that is exactly what it sounds like. You take a piece of tape and you tape your mouth shut at night. And the people that watch this that know me, they laugh because I am a talker, but I'm doing it for breathing purposes, not because I talk in my sleep, although I do. But honestly, the breathing issue has been helped with that, but there's still a lot more that goes into that. So started digging in and learning about what does waking up at certain times of the night mean? Is that indicative to different processes that are going on while we're sleeping? And what I found that is completely true. There are many different things that our body does while we are sleeping. It honestly does its most work, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
while we are sleeping. Digestion. Digestion is so important during the sleep hours. And so one of those that's a workhorse of digestion is your liver. And we often think of like liver. My first thought before getting into all things nutrition and was like cirrhosis of the liver when somebody drank too much. Like that was my only knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily like, did not have a lot of information beyond that. So like knowing that like your liver, when there's an issue, it will not be able to sufficiently release stored sugar, glycogen, sorry. And while you're sleeping, as a result, you'll wake up earlier than you would like to. I mean, traditionally we want to get, 8 hours of sleep, Some people say and I was one of those people that said, I function really good at 6.5. I don't even know why I thought that was like an appropriate thing to say because I really was not functioning well at 6.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of why I started digging into it, just because I was waking up at that 3 a.m. time and wanted to know why and how to fix it. So,
Love it.
Go ahead.
So mouth taping was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is so many people are breathing through their mouth at night. And in fact, so many people are breathing through their mouth day to day, going about our day. And we're supposed to be breathing through our nose. And it's kind of a use it or lose it type of a situation. The less you breathe through the nose, the more difficult it becomes to breathe through your nose. And so mouth taping is a way of forcing your body to breathe. I understand why some listeners may see that as terrifying. Let me encourage you that you don't even have to keep it on all night. Like every little bit helps. In fact, I'm a big proponent of belly breathing and practicing breathing with our diaphragm and breathing deeper. And that can be a great part of a wind down routine, of a bedtime routine, if you wake up in the middle of the night, making relaxation the goal instead of falling back asleep. Because the moment you're like, I should fall back asleep, you're gonna fight it. But making relaxation the goal instead, some of those breathing exercises can really help with that. So that's kind of the why behind that breathing stuff.
Yes. Good job explaining
and that's a whole world that we could even get into. We don't have time for it tonight, but
that is a whole, like, probably like a mini series of a workshop.
Oh, absolutely.
All about that stuff. Like that is like and I'm learning more about that. I just went to a biological dentist and she gave me homework of books to read. So we will definitely talk about that at a later time.
Love it. Okay, thank you. Have him watch a show with you. Okay. I understand. Okay, bring him here. We have an interruption. He was sleeping. He is not sleeping anymore.
Oh,
this is how we do it. Say hi. Hi. You're going to be on YouTube. So if it's all right, can I just kind of pour through some of my tips? Well, tell me what you have about morning light and blue light, and I'll bounce off of what you're starting with. So why don't you dive into that?
All right. One of the things that I have recently started doing is going outside first thing in the morning, because as Jamie talked about, morning light is super important for melatonin production, which we can talk a little bit more about melatonin. But getting that first light is indicative to how you are going to sleep that night.
Next night.
Yes, the next night. So that is something that I've started doing and notice a difference almost immediately with that. And on the flip side of that, when I don't do it, I notice that my sleep is disrupted. So that is definitely something. And the blue light, I'm still getting better at this. I'm just going to be honest. Doing this where I am off my phone no later than 9 o'clock, that's a struggle for me. I go to bed I have my routine of going to bed at 10 o'clock, but that 9 o'clock time, that's still where something that I struggle with. But that's super helpful because, again, that is something that is going to set the tone of how your body is able to wind down, calm down, and all of the things that you worry about during the day, that just can make the whole matters worse. So I'm trying to think what else. What were you going to hit on besides that?
Well, and making sure you're getting out in the morning without sunglasses. I just had a client who's like, oh yeah, I go for a walk every morning. I'm like, but are you wearing sunglasses? She's like, yes, I am. I'm like, take those sunglasses off. You want the full spectrum of all the different light rays. And just think of it, like think through human history, how in tune we had to be with our environments before electricity, before artificial light, before blue screens. Like you ran your life by daylight and you got up when the light came up and you went to bed when the light went down. And our bodies are designed to run on that, to get energy, for our hormones to balance in alignment with that. And we live in a society now that just does not support that unless you are proactively working against that. So morning light without sunglasses. And then as it turns towards evening, trying to do less of the screens or putting on blue light blockers. Or I also just had a client last week who didn't know that there's a blue light filter on her iPhone. Like there is a sundown to sunset, it will turn your colors more warmer colors and you don't even notice it because it slows it gradually. So any iPhone users out there, look for that, because that's an easy way to just get less of that exposure in the evening.
Yeah, and I actually have a blue light blocker on these prescription glasses. So, and I also do not use sunglasses at all anymore. And even when I'm driving, and I drive all over the place, cross country, all the things. So it's like, it makes a world of difference. It does take some getting used to. Your eyes have to adjust to it, but man, just the difference. It's affected how I'm very fair skinned, redhead, and my skin is so much more tan this summer because of the way the absorption of all of that is just affecting even how my skin absorbs the sun too. It's crazy. I've never had this happen in my 42 years of life. So that's
amazing.
Yeah, it is neat.
I love it.
And just PS side note, Android users, there is something called a grayscale that completely takes all together off the light, and it makes it like a black and like not even black and white, like gray and white. So I do that at night sometimes, and that's something that I'm trying to get more used to because it clearly does not stimulate your brain. And then you're like, this is not as fun to look at because there's no colors. So it's not quite the same as far as what
a little less dopamine is okay sometimes.
Right, exactly. And that's the whole point of it, because at night you do need less dopamine if you're going to wind down. So some of the other things is going to bed and waking up at the same time is really super helpful to get yourself into a sleep routine. I mean, obviously Jamie's got littles, and it's hard to gauge that, obviously based off of their needs, but somebody like myself who doesn't have them yet, and that is really something that you can take a lot of ownership and just 9 o'clock. And I even started setting a phone alarm to go off to be like, wind down, like let's get this going where we're winding down for the night. And that's been super helpful for me. What was the other thing? Oh, this was really interesting. Castor oil packs. I did not realize how helpful they are for sleep. I knew that they were for other things as far as just like digestive issues and helping when you're detoxing with estrogen, like all of that. But when I was doing some reading, it was talking about how imperative like castor oil packs can be for your sleep process too.
Well, let's circle back to the liver then. Because there's a lot more there. Because like you mentioned at the beginning, your liver does a lot of detoxing overnight. If you're frequently waking up from that like 2 to 3 a.m. window, that's often when your liver is working hard. So that can be an early sign of like something not like pathways not being clearly open. I apologize for my camera. This new iPad like zooms in and out. And
I know. Really I was like, this feels very professional.
I'm not here like panning my camera. It's all the fancy iPad. Thanks, Plexus, for the free iPad. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to get used to it. So castor oil packs on your liver can assist with that. Now, here's my caveat. Make sure you're a regular pooper before you start putting castor oil packs on your liver. So you want to be super regular in the bathroom department. If that's not happening, check in with us. We can help you with that. But that's a big foundation. If that's happening, then castor oil, and it's super simple. There's tons of DIY videos online. You basically just soak a washcloth in castor oil. You put it over your liver, put a towel over it, and then put a heating pack over that and start really slow, like maybe 10 minutes a day. You can work up to an hour, hour and a half. But castor oil really penetrates deeply and helps to open up those pathways. In fact, it can be helpful to open up pathways no matter where they are blocked on your body, but specifically talking about liver health. Stress management is a big deal for your liver as well, because I don't see him.
He's like,
cortisol will interrupt
Yes.
the beneficial hormones and the hormone pathway of getting our good hormones, our hormones that help us deal with stress and help us in good ways. If your cortisol and your stress levels are high, that pathway is hijacked and that pathway is interrupted. So making sure that your stress management techniques, whatever they are in place, whether that's exercise, meditation, reading, time alone, get outside, get that morning sunlight, ground yourself, get your bare feet on the earth.
Right.
All those things are helpful. Now my husband is mowing literally outside.
It's all good. It's all
I
good.
have decided to do things imperfectly.
That's
and if
right.
y'all aren't okay with that, then find a different dietitian.
Well, and in all honesty, that's indicative to like what we're talking about, because perfection is literally like the worst form of stress that you can be putting on your body. So literally embracing whatever it is that gets thrown at you and just saying like, this is real life. And this is what half the people that are watching this are going to be hearing all around them while they're listening to this recording. So it is all good. The one thing I did want to talk about also is kind of getting off the liver thing, but not really, because it is so connected, is are you eating enough throughout the day? And that makes a huge difference in how you're sleeping. I know when I was struggling so much with that, I was doing intermittent fasting, and there was no way that I was possibly getting the amount of calories that I needed to in my eating window. And no longer do that, was not supportive for my body at all. And so that is something that I ask people initially, like had a couple of practice clients, have other people that I'm coaching and working with. How much are you eating? Show me what you're eating, because that's going to be good to know like what your sleep's going to be like. Because again, going back to that cortisol, if you do not have enough food in your system, like you are going to be just on this roller coaster of not only like blood sugar dysregulation, but also cortisol, because it's all tied together.
I love it. Yeah. Speaking of food and like meal timing, that impacts sleep as well. So I'll try to give my 2-minute rant on intermittent fasting and not go totally into it, but your stomach is supposed to rest overnight. There is validity in fasting. You are not supposed to be eating 24/7. Your stomach needs to rest and digest. The opposite of fight and flight is rest and digest. Okay. So you can see that stress conundrum. That's not even a word, but you can see how you flux between that throughout the day. So in that sense, fasting is a good thing. However, you should be lightening up your evening meal and moving up your evening meal so that that food has moved through your stomach. And so your stomach is capable of resting overnight. Your best time to get your protein in is morning, breakfast, and lunch, because protein takes the longest to digest. It's the biggest burden on your body. A necessary burden, but a burden. And so getting enough food and enough nourishment and enough protein at breakfast and lunch, and then keeping it lighter in the evening is great. And then 12 hours of fasting, maybe 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 7 to 7 or 8 to 8 is a great way to get the benefits of intermittent fasting in a way that still actually works with your life and works with your metabolism. If you need an evening snack, some people do. Some people without stable blood sugars will have their blood sugars crash overnight, and that can wake you up and stress your body out as well. So if you're that type of person, then an evening snack might be great. Don't do a beef stick. Do something like some fresh fruit and some cream or some cheese, or a piece of whole grain toast or something. A bedtime snack is not wrong, but it should not be a meal, and it should not be really heavy in protein.
Yeah, I love doing raw milk with just like a smidge of maple syrup in it. I mean, raw milk's got all the macros in it anyways. Like
that's a whole other rabbit trail. We should do a meeting on that.
Yes, we should.
All right, let me look at my notes. Yeah, wake up, eat your meals, blue light, mouth taping, snoring. Yeah, if you're doing these things and you're not seeing results, like there are actual sleep issues. Sleep studies can be super helpful. If you have sleep apnea and you don't know, that is a big stress on your body. So sometimes getting treatment, getting a machine, those things are necessary. We're not saying those things are wrong. They're just not the first line of defense. And we want to move like upstream and upriver and help catch these problems when they can be remedied through lifestyle factors. But if you're doing all the things and still not feeling well, not feeling rested, sometimes it takes, like a sleep pap machine or something like that to actually get your body out of that chronic stress and unrested state so that you can actually heal and recover. So I just want to add that caveat there. I also should probably add the caveat that I'm not claiming to cure or treat or prevent any disease. I am a dietitian. I am not your dietitian. This is not medical advice. This is going public on YouTube. I got to say all those things. So
that's great. But I will also say that if you are trying the tips that we're talking about and that is not helping you, then contacting Jamie or myself, whoever you know respectively, and working with us one-on-one is definitely an option as well. Did you have anything that you wanted to share about melatonin? While she is taking care of that, I will just say, as far as the different things about melatonin, I've been reading and researching a ton about melatonin lately because I had tried melatonin myself and then had come to a conclusion that, like I would rather look at all these other things. But I do think that melatonin can be helpful in the right circumstance for the right person. And that is something that really is going to vary with practitioner to practitioner, what their opinion is, because on the internet you can find a statement to support either side. So really looking at like what are your sleep habits is really important to just take inventory of it, and really just take, even if you're just keeping like a little journal to like say like this is where it's been, this is what I'm struggling with, that can really help you identify a pattern. And once you see a pattern, then it's able to say like, okay, is it pointing back to something else? And that is like the quickest way that you can identify a solution to a problem, is when you can find a pattern to something.
Yeah, I also want to mention just like go in the right order. Lifestyle factors, try that first. When that falls short, if you're too far gone for that to be the remedy, supplements are the next line of defense. Now, the difficulty with supplements is it can be hard to find a company that's reputable. It can be hard to find something that's not full of artificial sweeteners and food dyes. You would think those things would not be in our supplements, but they are. They're everywhere. They're prevalent. But please try a supplemental path before going straight to medication. I know so many people that have to use like Tylenol PM or NyQuil or something like that, like just to get sleep, or they've got prescriptive sleep aids. And again, they may be necessary for a time, but there's so many things that can be helpful before that. So that is where our melatonin product that we've been testing and trying out for the last couple of weeks potentially comes into play here. So you've been taking sleep since it released just a couple of weeks back?
Yes, I have. I've been taking a half of a gummy just because I don't have a ton of trouble sleeping right now. My biggest thing, honestly, is before sleep, that wind down period and shutting down my brain and all of that. So that's really what I've noticed an almost immediate help with, is that it is like I'm out, like I'm out. So there have been a few times, and I used these while we were away in Nashville together, because I really honestly sleep well at home. And I went to Texas this last weekend, used them while I was gone, slept very well, was able to like wind down, and don't have feelings of grogginess when I'm at like a half a tablet. I really think that is my sweet spot. And I have a sister who works third shift. And so I sent her a bottle. I just was like, please try this, because she was one that used other means as far as just like the Dayquil, NyQuil, or the NyQuil stuff. And she was like, okay, yep, I agree. And she did not do the half at first. She just did one, and she was like, that was kind of a lot. And I was like, yep, to get a little adjusted to it. So she's doing the half, and she was more than happy to be a sleep tester for me, because in all honesty, like, she knows that the choices that she was making to fall asleep with the NyQuil is not the best for her body. And so she was really happy to try that out. So
yeah, what a feeling of relief to have something that's more holistic, to have something that's not going to have long-term consequences. And yeah, people just don't know, and so they jump straight to the harsher things. And I do love it, because the sleep is hard on traveling, crossing time zones. If you work a job that doesn't allow you to be outdoors in the morning, or requires you to sleep in the day and work in the night or whatnot, sometimes we need these things in our artificial world to allow our body to repair and to be that rested version of ourselves. And truth be told, getting restful sleep ties to everything. It actually ties to your hunger the next day, your leptin and ghrelin, which are your hunger and your fullness hormones. If you don't sleep good, they're going to be wacky. Your blood sugars are going to be more unstable the next day. Like, there's so many consequences that being able to guarantee good sleep, like for travel, and then not to have like a sleep debt to catch up on in the days once you're home, that's invaluable.
Yeah. And that's one thing when they're coming to me and asking like, hey, I need to lose this weight. I need to lose, I need all this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, slow down. We need to first look at like, what time of the morning are you eating? Like, because, people wait that long window, and then you have just, like you were talking about, the leptin and all the things. And then also, like, what's your sleep like? That is honestly the best place that I feel like we can start with when we are looking at someone that does have extra weight to lose, looking at what their sleep looks like. And almost always it's like, I sleep like poo. Okay, now let's put these things in place. And these are things that, like, I'm not more, supplements or anything like that. I'm foundational lifestyle things that we've talked about, putting those things into place. And it really can make a world of difference with just very simple, free things.
Love it. Love it.
Yes.
Cool. So like Erin said at the beginning, we are affiliated with Plexus. We love Plexus products. The sleep gummies were a new release just a month ago. So we are testing them out. We have people testing them out. I love that they don't have food dyes. They're blue because of blueberries, not because of blue 10 and red 5. Thank goodness. They're not full of, like, what a novel concept.
And I love the ingredients in the proprietary blend. Yes. Like ashwagandha is in there, GABA is in there, lemon balm, tryptophan, like all of those are really good things. When you research like better sleep, all of those things are right alongside all of it. And ashwagandha is like my go-to for lots of different things, not just sleep. Yeah. So I love the things that they chose to put in there as well with the melatonin. So
perfect. And the one thing I want to add too, like if you're not a Plexus user currently and you want to try the gummies, may I suggest trying the full triplex combo with it, because gut health is tied to all those things, because you need to be pooping regularly and you need magnesium for that, because you probably have sugar issues and yeast issues and sugar cravings. If you're craving a ton of sugar in the evening, that can just be maddening to be like, no, but I'm done eating. Well, something like the triplex can help you overcome those sugar cravings. And all of a sudden, when you feel better, you do better. And those lifestyle factors are easier to incorporate. So if you are listening and you already love Plexus, we love you. We love that you're watching this. If you're watching and you're like, nope, haven't tried it or didn't give it a good effort, reach out to one of us, because we'd love to customize a plan for you. And I think that's about all I'm going to get out of this.
Yes. That's perfect. That's good. We covered it all. We got it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks for being on here with me, Erin. I'm excited about your experience and to watch your story keep unfolding. And I just hope that this blessed someone this evening.
All right. Thanks.
Awesome. Have a good night.